All right, hello everybody. So today we're going to be talking about transposing, um, and I know this is a topic that we cover quite a bit because it's good to hear it many times because it's a concept that can kind of go over your head the first few times you hear it. So it's nice to hear it often and to see it in practice and to practice it yourself. And eventually, the more you do it, the more you hear about it, it'll start to click. Okay, so transposing it's an incredibly powerful tool, and I highly recommend everybody learn how to do it because it can make your life a lot easier with playing the guitar. Um, we'll be utilizing a capo, um, and no, a capo is not cheating. Everybody should use it. So definitely recommend you get a capo. That's half of transposing is using a capo. So you want to have a capo. Uh, there's going to be a couple of different scenarios that will where transposing will come in handy, and so I'm going to go over those different scenarios with you. And if you have any questions, you could put them in the chat. There's a little chat feature at the bottom. Type in any of your questions down there at any point during this live class, and I will get to everybody's questions at the end. If you're watching this replay, you can still ask questions in the comments below this post, and I will answer those questions even after this live class is over. Okay, so the first thing I will say is you want to get the transposing cheat sheet. This is something that I've put together, and I will share my screen so you can see it. But you can also download it. Um, you can download it on the in the attachments of this post. Okay, so you go find this post and scroll down to the bottom, and you'll find the attachments at the bottom, and this is where you'll have the transpose where you can find the transposing cheat sheet. Zoom out a bit here. Okay. Um, so this is going to come in handy when with transposing as well. Okay. So let me go over the first scenario where transposing is going to come in handy, and that's going to be in the situations where you're playing by yourself, just you, um, whether for your own enjoyment or whether you're playing for like a little small group worship session or like an open mic night or something like that. And so you're learning songs on your own to play with just you and your guitar. Um, and you are trying to be able to play songs in chord families on the guitar that are easier to play. Okay, so as I've always mentioned in the past, you don't want to play on the guitar in the key of B or in the key of A or in the key of B flat or G sharp or some obscure key like that because it's going to be very hard to play on the guitar. Um, Especially when we're talking about rhythm guitar, where you're playing chords. Um, Chords will get very complicated when you start getting into strange keys like B flat and things like that. Okay, you're going to have a lot of bar chords, um, and it'll just get difficult. Um, at some point in the future, if you want to learn the caged system, and I can talk about that, I have talked about that before. If you just search on my Patreon page for the caged system, you should be able to find those lessons. But the caged system, you're learning five main shapes that you can move up and down the fretboard, and then you can find those weird chords like B flats and you can play in strange keys like that. But again, you're going to be using a lot of bar chords. Pretty much everything is going to be a bar chord in those cases. And so it's very difficult to play like that. Um, and if you're playing, if this is just a hobby for you, it's way easier to just learn the three main families, G, C, and E. So that's 18 chords, 6 chords in each family. And then you just transpose um, where that you can always play in this just those three chord families. So you only need to learn 18 chords. You don't need to learn any bar chords, and you use that capo to move things around. Okay, a lot easier to do it that way. So in the first scenario, let's say you want to learn the song. I'm gonna pull up from who's this? We had a patron request. I'm just gonna use some of the patron song requests for my demonstration here. So Danette Carpenter recommended the song "There's Nothing That Our God Can't Do" by Christian Stanfield. So I'm pulling that up, and I'm pulling it up on Ultimate Guitar, and it's showing it in the key of G with the capo on the first fret. So um, actually, it's showing it in the key of G. So that's one of the three families that I recommend you play in: G, C, or E. So right there, we're already in a good family. But let's say we opened this. Uh, let's say we found this chord chart and it's in the key of A flat, which probably, according to this, that's what the original key is in. So like if you listen to Christian Stanfield play it, it's probably in the key of A flat. Now um, if you opened this and it opened it, if you Google searched it and it opened it in A flat, I just want to show you what you're going to look at. Let me share my screen. Okay. So you see here we've got A flat, we have D flat, we have F minor, we have E flat. We've got a lot of really strange chords in here. And so, if you ever are trying to learn a song and you Google search it or whatever, and you pull up something strange like that, this is where the first scenario where you can use transposing to your advantage. Okay, so if you want to, again, if you're pulling up E flat, the first thing you want to do is, okay, you say you want to transpose it to either G, C, or E. So how do we do that? So let me open up the chord family cheat sheet. And what you want to do is first find the key of the key of A flat on this chart, and the key is going to be the rows going from left to right. Those are going to be your different keys or chord families. Same idea, scales, whatever you want to call it. So we're looking for A flat, and you'll see it here in blue, right above G. You have A flat and G sharp. A flat and G sharp are the same note. Okay. So sometimes you'll see it written as G sharp, sometimes you'll see it written as A flat. So that's right here. And you'll see that it's in blue. So this is our A flat key or our A flat scale or chord family, okay, from left to right. So if you notice, it's in blue, and you'll notice that we've got three colors here. We have blue, green, and red. And those represent those three chord families, G, E, and C. Okay, you'll see the G chord family is the dark blue, E chord family is the dark green, and C chord family is the dark red. So it's color coded in the sense that you can use a capo for anything in blue. You can use a capo to bring it to the key of G. Anything in green, you can use a capo to bring it to the key of E. Anything in red, you can use a capo to bring it to the key of C. Okay. So A flat. Let's say you're just playing it by yourself. We're going to transpose the song from A flat to G because that's going to be the closest to what Christian Stanfield is playing. Okay, it's just one half step away, right? So I'm going to transpose this song from A flat to the key of G. So let's go back to this chord chart here, and I'm just going to stop sharing for a second. I'm just going to grab the verse and the chorus, the first verse and chorus, and I'm going to just give you a little demonstration of how this works. So I'm going to create a new document. Okay, here we go. I'm going to paste that in here. Okay. And I'm going to, it's best to have this thing printed out. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to follow the column. Anywhere where there's an A flat, you're going to replace it with G because we're trying now to use this G chord family from left to right. Okay, so we're going to replace all of these chords in the A flat with all of these chords in G. So anywhere there's an A flat, I'm going to replace it with G. So let me go ahead and do that. There's an A flat here, I'm going to put G. There's an A flat here, put G. A flat to G. In the chorus, we have an A flat, I'm going to put G. Okay, that's all the A flats. Now I'm going to go to D flat. So let's go back to the transposing cheat sheet. D flat is, let's see, oh, it's not right here. Let me go back and check. Well, let's go to another chord. I'll come back to this D flat in a second because it looks like maybe we're going off key. F minor, let's look for the F minor. Okay, right here we have an F minor and we're going to switch it to E minor. Okay, we just look straight down. So I'm going to change all the F minors to E minor. F minor to E minor. Okay, and then the other chord we have is an E flat, so let's go back to the cheat sheet. Okay, E flat's right here, and I need to change that to a D. You'll notice some of these have a little number at the bottom, like slash F sharp underneath this D. Those are indicating the chord variations that I recommend you use. So like if you download the chord family cheat sheet, you'll see the chord family as G, A minor 7, B minor 7, C add 9, D over F sharp, and E minor 7. And those are just variations of the traditional way to play these chords. You don't have to play D over F sharp. You can just play a D major if you want. So that's why I just included it as a little subscript at the bottom. It's up to you if you want to play just a D or you want to play D over F sharp. So we're going to need to change out the E flat with a D. So where was I? Here. So E flat becomes D. E flat becomes D. All right, so now we just have this D flat left. So let's see what's going on there. A, B, C, C sharp. It's coming right between. So D sharp is, D flat, I'm sorry, would be coming right between this C sharp and this E flat, somewhere right in here. So if we look down, we've got G, A, B, C. So that's probably going to be like a C sharp or a D flat in the key of G, which is a little strange. Let me go back and see. Let me just try to play it. Actually, I'm not familiar with this song, so I'm going to have to listen to it and try to diagnose what this could be. So give me 1 second. Let's pull it up. In fact, maybe what we could do, since that D flat, oh, sorry, I see what the problem is. Let me come back to, I'll show you what I'm looking at now. Share. So D flat is the same as C sharp. I just don't have it typed right here. Okay. So remember, I was talking about every sharp has an equal flat next to it. So you can actually see that down here in the red. I don't know if you see my icon, but you see this C sharp and D flat down here in red, right above the C chord family. So D flat is the same thing as C sharp. So if we come back up here and look at this A flat key, we have a C sharp right here. Or again, C sharp is the same as D flat. So that's going to become a C chord. So we can come back over to, where was it? Here. So everywhere there's a D flat, I'm just going to put a C. D flat becomes C. D flat becomes C. D flat becomes C. Okay. And yep, so now we have it transposed. from an A flat key to the G key. So now I'm using G, C, E minor, and D. Okay. Oh, did I miss a chord here? An E, is that? No, I don't know where that came from. Maybe I've typed it wrong. Okay, so anyway, that's going to be one scenario. And so that's in the case of like you find a chord chart online, you search for it, and it's in a strange key, and you don't want to play it on the guitar in that key. You want to play it in a key easier to play. Okay, like G, C, or E. So that's how you would do that in that situation. Okay, now let's say you're looking up a song. Now, okay, I'll give you another situation here. So let's say what's his name? The artist that I'm just looking at. What's his name? Give me one second. Christian Stanfill, the song "There's Nothing That Our God Can't Do." So let's say he's playing it in A flat though, and you want to play it with him. So you want to play the YouTube video of Christian Stanfill playing the song, but it's in A flat. You don't want to play it in A flat. You just transposed it to G. What you can do now is use your capo. Now again, you can play it without the capo by yourself, just you and your guitar, and you can play it with G, C, just like we transposed it, and it would work. But if you play the video of Christian Stanfill and he's playing it in A flat, it's going to clash, it's not going to work. So you need to use your capo to bring the key up now. So if we're playing it, we just transposed it to the key of G. We need to bring it up to G sharp, and that's by putting our capo on the first fret, so G, G sharp. Okay, now I'm playing the same chords, G, C, D, and E minor. Same chords we just transposed, but with my capo on the first fret. So now I'm in the key of G sharp. Remember, G sharp is the same thing as A flat. So now I would be in the key of A flat, and I could play with Christian Stanfill's video, and he could be playing weird chords like A flat without the capo, and you're playing G with the capo, and it's the same thing. Okay, so now again, you can just take this capo, move it, and now you're in the key of A. You can move it again. Now I'm in the key of A sharp or B flat. You can move it again. Now I'm in the key of B. Okay, and if you're in doubt as to what's happening here, if we look back at the chord family cheat sheet, okay, without my capo, I play a G chord family. That's this row right here, G. Okay, if I put my capo on the first fret, I'm going up an octave. I'm going up in pitch by 1, and that's A flat or G sharp. Even though I'm playing G, you can see here this G1 indicates capo on the first fret, playing the G chord family. That puts me in this key, this row A flat and G sharp. Okay. If I go with my capo on the second fret and play the G family, I'm in the key of A. And you just keep going up each row. Every time you go up a capo, a fret, you're going up one step on this chord chart. If you get to B and you go up again, then you have to restart and go down to the C down here at the bottom. It's a constant repeating. It works in a loop. A B C D E F G, A B C D E F G, A B C D E F G. Okay, and that's how the chord family works. Okay, so that's that situation. If we're trying to transpose the song. Another situation is going to be if, let's say, you look up the song, it's in G, great, fantastic, G's easy to play. I can play G, C, E, D, E minor, fantastic. But when you try to sing it, it's too low for your voice, okay? And you gotta go really low, and you can't sing it very well, so you need to bring it up, okay? In this case, you don't even have to worry about transposing, you just add a capo. So maybe your first fret or your second fret, and you play it with the same chords, and you try to sing it again. And you adjust it. If it's still too low, you bring it up another octave, another pitch, and you play it again and you try it again. And so you're slowly increasing that pitch till you find the right sound for your voice. Okay? Now, let's say you look up the song, it's in the key of G, you play it like this, you try to sing, and it's too high for you to sing. So you want to bring the song down in pitch from G. How do you do that? You can't go any lower on the fretboard. So at this point, if you need to go down in pitch from a chord, you're in the key of G, C, or E, okay, and you need to go lower. At this point, you need to transpose the song to a lower key because, again, you can't go lower on the fretboard unless you transpose. So we're playing in G, song is too low, song is too high for you to sing, so you need to bring the pitch down. So let's look back at our transposing cheat sheet. Here we are. Okay, we're in G, this row right here, left to right, and we need to go down in pitch. So if you look down, the next chord family is E. Remember, we only want to play in G, E, or C. So we're looking for the next group, and that's going to be the E family. So at this point, I could transpose the song from G to E, and that will drop the song down by 3 steps, 3 pitches, basically, if you think about it that way. Okay? And that'll be lower for your voice. So let's do that with this song that we've just been looking at. Okay, so we've got this song now in the key of G, but we feel like it's too high for us to sing, so we need to drop it down to the key of E to make it lower for our voice. So everywhere there's a G, let's see here, everywhere there's a G, I'm going to replace it with E. I'm just looking straight down the column. So I'll come here, everywhere there's a G, I'm going to put an E. G, E, G, E. Over here we have another G, put an E. Okay, and then everywhere there's a C, let's go back and check. In the G chord family, here's a C. I'm going to replace it, look straight down the column to the E family. I'm going to replace C with A, or A suspended 2. That's the variation that I teach in that family. So come here, everywhere there's a C, I'm going to put A. Okay. And then everywhere there's a D, let's go back and check D. In the G chord family, here's D. If I look straight down the column to the E family, that's going to become a B. So we'll come back to D, and we're going to replace it with B. And I think that's the only one I see. All right, and then E minor is the last chord. So come over here to the G family, we're going to find E minor. We're going to look straight down the column to the E family. That becomes a C sharp minor. So we'll come over here, replace E minor with C sharp minor, replace E minor with C sharp minor. Okay, so now we've got this whole song in the key of E instead of the key of G. So now we would play it with E, A, B, and C sharp minor. Okay, and I could play it like that, and now it's going to be 3 steps lower in pitch, and so it'll be hopefully better for my voice to sing it. If at this point 3 steps lower was too much, you dropped it down too much and now it's too low, you can now put the capo on the 1st fret, bring it up 1 step, try it again with E. E, A, B, C sharp, and see if bringing it up 1 step is going to be better for your voice. You can bring it up 2 steps if you need to. Okay, if you bring it up 3 steps, you're back at the key of G. So you don't want to do that because again, if you look at the transposing cheat sheet here, E, if we go up 3 steps, we're back at G. Okay, so this If I play E on the third with my capo on 3, that's the same thing as playing G without a capo. Same key. Okay. All right. Good. Yes. Okay. The other scenario where you would use transposing is if you're playing with a team and you're playing on a worship team, and you're not the worship leader. You're just accompanying the team. The worship leader gives you a sheet of music, and he gives it to you. He says, "Hey, we're going to play this song next week. You can go start practicing it." And he gives you the sheet music, and it's in B flat. Again, you want to play it in B flat because that's how the whole team is going to be playing in B flat. You want to play it in B flat, but you don't want to play B flat chords because it's very difficult to play. So same scenario as what I was talking about earlier. You can take that chord chart from him. When you get home, you use that transposing cheat sheet. And let me show you again. We're going to look for that key of B flat, which is up here in blue, this top second to the top row. B flat / A sharp, that's the key of B flat. We want to play in that key because the whole worship team's playing in B flat. So we need to stay in B flat, but we're going to transpose the song down to the G chord family because that's the closest one down. It's in blue, it's in the same color group. So I'm going to transpose the song from B flat to G. And then we're going to put our capo on the 3rd fret. You see this G3? That means you play with the G chord family on the 3rd fret, and you'll be in this key. So we transpose the song, scratch it out on paper. Scratch out the B flat, you're going to replace it with G. You're going to scratch out D minor and replace it with B minor. Scratch out E flat, replace it with C. Okay. Then you're going to play the whole song in the G family with your capo on the 3rd fret. Like this. G, C, E minor, D. You'll be in the key of B flat. So everybody else, the piano player is playing a B flat note. You're playing a G chord with this capo here, and this is a B flat note. Okay, even though you're not playing those weird shapes, it's still a B flat because of the capo. Okay, and that way you can play in any key that the worship leader will give you. You can play in any key that he gives you with just the G, C, and E chord families and your capo. Okay, so it makes it a lot easier to play in any key. Okay, so you don't have to worry about learning some strange chord families and strange chords. Cool. Okay, let's see. I know it's a lot of information. Again, you have to hear this so many times before it starts to click. You need to try to use it. Use that transposing cheat sheet. Try to transpose some songs. As you do it, it'll start to make more sense. Some questions might pop up. You can ask those questions. And that's the best way to learn how to do it. Okay. So I'm going to go through the chat here and see what questions we have. So let's see, we've got a question from Dara. Is F the same as F minor? No. F is an F major. F minor is an F minor. So if you say if you say a chord and you just say the letter of the chord, so F or G or C, it's implied that it's a major chord. So if it's a major chord, you're not going to say major. You're just going to say F. So if I say F, that means F major. And if you don't want it to be a major, you have to say it. You have to indicate it by saying a minor or something like that. Okay. So an F is an F major. F minor is an F minor. Okay. So the difference is that the 3rd note in the scale. So a chord is made up of 3 notes. The 1st, 3rd, and 5th of the scale. And to be specific, it's the 1st, major 3rd, and 5th. That's the major chord. That 3rd note, that middle note, like I'm doing this because I'm thinking piano, and piano is the best way to visualize it because you got the 1st, 3rd, and 5th. To play a minor chord, that middle note changes. It drops down a half step to make it a minor chord. Okay, um, so and minor chords just have a they have a kind of a ominous, sad tone to them. Um, so like this is an E major. Okay, to make it an E minor, and again, an E major, we just call it an E. We don't say E major, we just say E. To make it an E minor, I'm going to remove my first finger, and that's an E minor. It is a completely different chord than an E major. You cannot interchange them. They have a completely different sound. That change in note will clash with the key that you're playing in, so you can't interchange major and minor chords. Dara also asked C sharp minor. What is a C sharp minor? Is a chord either sharp or minor? No, you can have both sharps and minors. A sharp is going to be, if you think about a piano, again, if you look at a piano, all of your black keys are sharps. Okay. Um, the difference is that something that's sharp is an individual note. Like an individual note, you can have um, just a regular C, a natural. It's called. It's like a C natural. Now, again, you're not going to see that on a chord chart. The word natural. If you say C, you mean a natural C. Okay, just like the white C note, individual, not a chord, just one single note. C. You go up to that black key that's right next to the C. That's a C sharp. Okay, then the next white key is a D. Okay, and so on and so forth. Now, if you that C sharp, you'll notice is between the two white keys, a C on one side and a D on the other, and that's why you can call it a C sharp or a D flat, and that gets into some very confusing music theory as to why sometimes they call it C sharp and why sometimes they call it D flat, and doesn't really matter for our situation with playing rhythm guitar. Just know that it's the same note, C sharp or D flat. It comes between a C and a D. So it's either D flat or C sharp, same note. So flats and sharps are the same thing. They're those black keys on a piano. They are individual notes. But again, you can have a chord. If your chord starts on a C sharp note, it's a C sharp chord. So you can have a C sharp chord, and that C sharp chord can be a C sharp major. It can be a C sharp minor. And those are two completely different chords. Remember that middle note is changing in the chord. C sharp major, it starts with a C sharp as the first note. That second note is going to be a major third, and then you've got the fifth of the scale. If it's a C sharp minor, that middle note goes down a half step to a minor third, and that's what makes it a C sharp minor. Okay, so those are kind of the differences there. Maybe we can do a series on music theory if y'all are interested at some point. Let's see. Swift, do you know the Nashville number system? Yes, I. Let's see. Can you use a system on new songs I have written? If you're talking about like using the Nashville number system um, for songs that you've written, yeah, for sure you can do that. But maybe I can do a lesson one day on the Nashville number system. I have a long time ago, but I don't even know where that video is at this point. But I could probably do another lesson on that um, because that's a whole nother, we would need a whole class to talk about that. But basically, it's a way to play songs with numbers instead of chords. So instead of a C, you would see the number one. Instead of D, you would see the number two, and so on. You know, it's numbers. It allows for transposing in transposing becomes easier, but it takes a little bit of memorization in the beginning. But then people will just say, okay, we're going to play in the key of D, and everybody's got the sheet music with numbers, and everybody knows if we're in D, D is 1, and so on. Anyway, we could talk about that another day. It's a long lesson. Um, cool. All right, great. I'll go ahead and sign out now. Hopefully, guys, that was helpful. Again, start practicing using transposing in some songs you want to learn, and ask questions in the community if you have any. And I'll see you guys in the next live class. Okay, bye.